It's said to be the oldest intoxicant, yet there are few who care to indulge. Its beauty is stark, covered in spots, and its color is crimson and bold. In the Carpathian forests, I venture, where hermits forage and dwell. It's a mushroom that carries great gifts for science, along with a magical spell. I've been fascinated by psychoactive drugs my whole life. I love to study their chemistry and impact on society. And my work has allowed me to investigate extraordinary substances around the world. Yet there are still mysteries that remain. As the wind blows under a rain-gorged cap, where wolves howl and bark, there you'll find what science cannot tame, sporulating silently in the dark. This is the story of Amanita muscaria.
I just had a vision. I was in the forest and I saw a mushroom like a fly agaric and I saw it turning on its own axis. And that's how I started. Either I dreamt it or I saw it, but I saw it. It happened to me. And they still speak to me if I go to the forest. There's something with the fly agaric, but we don't know what it is.
Karsten Haller is a scientist turned artist who uses his background in entomology to create sculptures inspired by the wonders of the natural world, including a 1997 art film depicting his experience with Amanita muscaria.
I filmed myself every time I did it. Every time was the same thing. First the taste, I had to overcome it. Then I had to throw up. And then I fell into some kind of comatose sleep. But really like, a very strange one. The one that when you wake up, you have no idea how long you slept. But one time, it actually worked. And there's this document of me singing some German children's songs. I had like this, in German it's called Oberton, like what monks can do when they sing in two different voices at the same time. So that was very interesting. Once you show a mushroom out of its natural context and put it like in an exhibition, for instance, it becomes a completely different thing. People respond to it very strongly. There's a magnetism, there's an attraction, there's something of the kind. And this is also interesting that this works without any ingredients. Just works with the form. It's the form of the fly agaric.
It is amazing. Yet children, it's the first mushroom that anyone draws. Before you know anything about its psychoactivity, it already contains magic somehow.
If you look into folk culture, images, songs, if you look for it, you see it all the time. But it's like an empty symbol. It doesn't mean anything anymore.
Do you think we ever understood?
Yes, I think so. But maybe this goes way back.
In addition to folktales, Amanita muscaria has inspired generations of artists and scholars. John Allegro famously wrote that the entirety of the Christian religion was based on a pagan sex cult that worshipped Amanita muscaria as a sacred phallus that was hidden in the form of Jesus Christ. Later, the ethnobotanist Jonathan Ott sought to further redefine our religious traditions by popularizing the idea that St. Nicholas was a symbolic Amanita muscaria shaman hallucinating flight behind a herd of intoxicated reindeer.
Keep our direction. We'll have to fly low.
We made this exhibition called Soma in Berlin, where we had two groups of live reindeers. One group of the reindeers got fly agaric in the food, and the others didn't. You would go under the reindeer, long, telescopic, like a stick, with a kind of bucket at the end and special keepers, and they would collect the pee.
The most abundant alkaloid in fresh Amanita muscaria is ibotenic acid, a glutamatergic compound that's readily converted to muscimol, a GABA-A agonist that's responsible for the mushroom's hallucinogenic activity. When the mushroom is consumed, both muscimol and unchanged ibotenic acid are excreted in urine, which is sometimes drunk to recycle the mushroom's alkaloids.
Did any of the visitors drink the reindeer urine?
Well, I did.
Really?
Yes.
What does it taste like?
Like, better than human urine. Let's put it like that. I'm not esoteric at all. I'm a hardcore scientist. I have a PhD in everything. But I think this is something worth investigating. So I would go as far north as possible.
Amanita muscaria is found on every continent except Antarctica, growing in ectomycorrhizal association with an enormous variety of trees. The chemistry of Amanita muscaria has inspired hundreds of scientists, led to the discovery of at least 2 receptors in the brain, and served as the basis for the first known GABAergic psychedelic. In Copenhagen, I've come to meet with a legendary scientist who used the toadstool to launch one of the most fascinating careers in the history of medicinal chemistry.
I was born in the countryside, and every autumn I would run around in the forest for hours and hours and find them. Every time I found a mushroom in Amanita muscaria, I was so impressed. I think it was just so fantastic. And that went on for years and years. I had no idea that I would be working with this later on. When I was a PhD student, I was working with natural products. I was quite successful. But then the professor said to me, the new generations of drugs would contain an NO bond. And one day a person came to me, he said to me, have you seen this review article about Amanita muscaria? I began to read it and I realized that it contained compounds containing this NO bond. So immediately I said to myself, here is the beginning of your research program.
Krogsgaard Larsen dedicated himself to using the chemicals found in Amanita muscaria as a basis for new therapeutic compounds. Starting with muscimol, he created more than 100 derivatives, some containing sulfur, others containing halogens, and some that were conformationally constrained with a dihydropyridine ring. It was this special motif that led to his greatest masterpiece, gaboxidol.
Gaboxidol was unique in the sense that it was capable of re-establishing a normal sleep cycle.
Named after Hypnos, the Greek god of sleep, hypnotics are a class of drugs used to treat insomnia and other sleep disorders.
And during the early stages, you even conducted a self-experiment. Can you tell me about that?
We started with very small doses, then we went up to 10 milligrams. And when I started walking, it was a strange feeling. I've never tried to walk on cotton wool, but it was just this comfortable feeling. I've described it as if you have taken 2 or perhaps 3 strong beer.
At 15 milligrams, gaboxidol is a mild hypnotic, but at doses 40 milligrams and higher, a hallucinogenic delirium ensues.
I can say from personal experience that it's an excellent hypnotic. Maybe the best I've ever tried. Actually, it is the best I've ever tried.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can feel it. It's making you feel slightly elevated. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
It is a muscimol analog. It has a muscimol structure element. I have tried to point it out with these dots. We saw there was a very powerful agonist. The mushroom, Amanita muscaria, is the only plant whatsoever that biosynthesizes 3-hydroxysucrose.
And why might a mushroom biosynthesize this? Why might it even produce this compound in the first place?
Remember the word magic. It is magic.
Most scientists are reluctant to acknowledge magic in the world.
not to me. If you have a strict technological, strict scientific approach to science, I think you are missing a parameter.
Вже в 19 столітті аманіта мускарія, червоний мухомор, застосовувався як гомеопатичні ліки. Червоний мухомор – це легендарний гриб вікінгів і шаманів сибірських. Олігархи літають.
Anna Grodzinskaya is an expert in radioactive contamination of Ukrainian fungi and has studied the toxicity of Amanita muscaria.
Could you tell me about the general role of mushrooms in Ukrainian culture?
У житті слав'янських народів, в тому числі і українців, роль грибів дуже значна. Реально, це невичерпне джерело багатих, потенційно багатих фармакологічних продуктів.
It's a tasty edible macrolipiota.
Yes, this mushroom like in Spanish, pollo.
Chicken.
Yes, chicken. You know, yes?
Yes.
Але слід зазначити, що червоний мухомор є дуже токсичним грибом.
Why do you believe that it's toxic? Because there are many people that think it's a medicine, that think that it's not toxic at all.
Грибні нейротоксини, вони впливають на людський мозок. Спостерігається діарея, безперервне блювання, різні диспептичні явища, дуже неприємні. І я у зв'язку з тим можу згадати фразу, що якщо Бог хоче покарати людину, він забирає в неї розум. А грибомани, так я їх називаю, вони взагалі самі якби стають на шлях самогубства.
The majority of fatal mushroom poisonings stem from ingestion of other species in the genus Amanita, such as Amanita phalloides or the death cap. Instead of psychoactive alkaloids, these species contain peptides that can cause deadly organ failure at exquisitely low doses. Where the mushrooms grow, I seek someone to ask. As birds take flight, I catch sight of an amphetamine cook in a mask.
Лабораторна колба, конденсатор-холодильник. Компонент називається пропен. Уксусна кислота і столічна ртуть.
You use mercuric chloride.
Алюмінієва фольга. Теж трошки воняє, але нічого, в витяжку все виходить. Він поміняв моє життя в лучшу сторону. Я колись був лінивий і сонливий. And my girlfriend liked amphetamine pills. And sex.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Amanita muscaria?
Oh, of course.
Do you know what part of Ukraine is best for finding the mucomor?
Не задумався, але, напевно, в Карпатах.
The Carpathians.
Yeah? I don't know. Maybe. Пробуйте.
Assured by the confidence of the amphetamine cook, I headed to the Carpathians to have a look. You can call it fly agaric, amanita, or mucomor, but to understand its beauty, in a forest you must explore. So I headed to a train. For Carpathia I was bound, and soon I'd have the mushroom, warty, red, and round.
I'm on a train in Ukraine on my way to the Carpathian Mountains, where there's a group of drifters who've camped out in the woods to worship Amanita muscaria mushrooms. Short of Siberia, this is one of the best places to go to learn about how people use these mushrooms. I've only spoken with one person who's been to this location, Vladimir.
Carpathians, they are not very high, but they are very strong by its feeling.
And if you look at the faces of some of these hippie in the place we are going in, they have eaten a lot of magic mushrooms. For example, one girl. She has the face of a witch. You know? You see that it directly affected her face.
So you really think it changed this woman? It changed her face, eating the mushrooms?
I think it made her uglier than she really could be or was.
And is this person you described that looks like a witch, is that someone we're going to see right now?
Remember my words about her. Her name is Ilona.
Exhausted from travel, I go to bed. Visions of Amanita dancing in my head. Maybe it's toxic, but I cannot lie. I dream of meeting the little red fungi. After a night on the train, I feel pretty beat. So I wander the town to find things to eat.
Nom, nom, nom. I want to have a big Carpathian meal.
No luck to be had on these Carpathian streets until my glance meets a man who walks on bare feet.
He's just down from mushroom trip.
Hello, I'm Hamilton. Do many people travel here to consume the mushrooms?
По гриби я в основному на шипуті зараз збирають, неформально.
What sort of mushrooms do you consume?
І мухомор, псилоцибінові, дождеві на лічення йдуть. Є достатньо. По дійстві мухомор, він галюциноген більш острий, малими дозами.
Pilipets is a ski village in southwestern Ukraine. In the winter, it snows here, but in the fall, it just rains. I've been told of a hermit who lives here all year. Only once has Vlad seen him, yet he fills me with fear.
He is like a guard of that area. He is like a little bit strange, and when someone is whole night beating drums, he will come with his chainsaw and play some music on it.
He plays music on their body with a chainsaw?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Sounds like a scary guy. So you were joking about that guy, right?
Let's go. And please don't fall. Don't fall, don't fall.
Some berries. I see them.
Oh, thank you.
It's very good for eyes.
What do you call this type of mushroom?
This mushroom called doshovik from rain mushroom. They appeared after rain.
This is Marasmius alliaceus, the garlic parachute mushroom. The garlic smell is amazingly pungent. I haven't been able to find very much published in English about the mushrooms that grow in this region, but many of them are recognizable. A blue bruising bolete. This one has a cespitose growth habit, seemingly dark purple spores, and it's growing on dead wood. This is sort of an unexplored terrain mycologically.
Macrolepiota procera.
This mushroom calls an umbrella. It opens and then is ready to eat. It's very tasty mushroom.
And cheetah likes to eat these as well?
Yes, cheetah like it. It's the only one mushroom that cheetah eat.
You know, microdosing is like very trendy now. One mushroom per day and you will succeed.
But you are outlaws if you try it. You'll go to the jail.
Oh. Look at these eyeball symbols. Hindu symbols. If I didn't know better, I might think people were using drugs here. A lot of children are using them. A lot of dogs are using them.
I followed the symbols toward a trail, drawn to some commotion, and happened upon an eerie fort where the witch prepared a potion. Hippies gathered all around the warm and smoky cottage. the witch was named Ilona, and of mushrooms, she had knowledge. Most people have difficulty with this mushroom. They can't have a good experience with it in the same way that they can with the psilocybin-containing varieties. Why do you think that's the case?
These mushrooms, they are mostly like dark part of your personality. If you take just a little, you will understand them more. They will open you some new vision.
Do you have any understanding of the history of this in Ukraine?
History is inside us. We can have the knowledge from ourselves. We know a lot of things. Sometimes we just need to remember them, you know. To understand this place, like, to open yourself, you need at least 3 weeks to live here, at least 3 weeks. You have a lot of berries, you have a lot of mushrooms, you have a lot of different springs around, you have fresh air. This is the same which are growing with this magic places, you know. This is magical places.
Beautiful.
Вот это вот корень. А, кстати, вот этому корню где-то лет 500. Do you can compare it with amphetamine?
Wow, is that Potentilla erecta?
Well, it gives energy. You don't get tired.
Do a lot of people come to this region to pick mushrooms?
Yeah, well, I think there are like about 150 here right now, just for this reason, because it's a very strong place connected with nature. I talked to some trees, I've talked to spirits.
What sorts of things were you saying to the trees?
They were basically talking to me and speaking to me and, you know, like images and feelings and smells. I was healing my spirits here, and I guess I'm coming close to success.
I'm glad to hear it. Thank you.
Boletus puffball and chanterelle, mushroom-capped hills cast a magical spell, each graceful fungus dispersing a spore. But the star of this tale is muckhomore. After hours of searching under coniferous trees, the amanita remains hidden, and I'm feeling displeased. But the fairy tale mushroom I seek in the wild may only be found with the help of a child.
Wow. Are you allowed to pick this mushroom?
Ти хочеш поскладати для оленів, можна це зробити, але краще збирати не для себе, а для природи.
Thank you. This is Amanita muscaria, one of the most recognizable mushroom species. It's a chemically fascinating, pharmacologically fascinating, mycologically fascinating organism, and it's one that humans have used as a drug for at least hundreds and maybe thousands of years.
You're playing Super Mario's?
I'm playing Super Mario.
Super Mario, ever. You playing on game Super Mario?
I've played it, yeah.
Yeah, in Super Mario, you eating one, you have power. You eating two, you have more power.
Full caps.
Five.
5 entire.
4, 5, 6. This was trip. I eat in 6 and 7. I eat maximum, and this is trip.
Wow.
From Amanita, yeah.
Do you fall asleep?
Yeah.
It is good. It's really tasty. Amanita galore. Holy moly. Those are some very mature amanitas. As it ages and matures, the cap becomes plainer and then eventually concave, and it becomes a sort of bowl that catches water in the rain. And some people even say that if you drink the rainwater out of it, it produces a psychoactive deliriant effect.
They have their right to exist, to grow here. And who are we? Invaders, barbarians. We don't even know how to use them appropriately. You don't need any neurotoxins to feel high here. Oh, we are high?
We're high.
Carpathians, especially Ukraine, you have like such places which are good for partisan war, good to defend your land. And here was the most long resistance to the Soviets in 1956, 9 years after the Second World War. They resisted Germans, they resisted Soviets. Somewhere here. I feel like my voice is aggressive to the environment. Shut up, it says to me. Shut up, Vlado.
Сьогодні фантастичний день для збору. Сьогодні можна було легко там 50 парцеек назбирати. 50 парцеек? Ну так, да, це ж, я рахую, порція 2 грама.
I'm on my way to the hermitage of a man named Vasil. People from all over Eastern Europe come to ship it to camp during the summer months, but only one person lives here year-round. He's considered a guardian of the forest, and apparently he also has a chainsaw. Hi, I'm Hamilton. Good to meet you. Hi, I'm Hamilton. Good to meet you.
Так круто тебе видіти. Я холодно.
Beautiful, wow. Yeah. Wow, amazing Boletus edulis.
Okay.
How long have you lived here?
10 років.
Why did you move here?
Понравилося, що ліс лучше, ніж в селі. Ну, по-другому. Все. Ну, поїздив по городах, трохи в лісі вирішив пожити.
Тільки як будеш балакати, дивися на цього очкарика.
It smells like drying fungus of many different species.
Тут білі.
Is this kombucha?
І то чайний гриб. Ну, він то зараз, ну, так, мухоморчиків там пару штук, ну, пробую сушити. Ну, моховики такі. Попробую, як воно буде. Тут от сьогодні насобирав білі. От так і живемо. І суші. Наш Суез Уніон. Трохи більше, як палатка.
How do you survive here in the winter?
Їжа сама приходить. Я заготовляю гриби, ягоди, так. То не є проблем. Понимаєш, ну і такого світ же я. В мене такий світ і все. Ну, психологічна нагрузка більше, ніж фізична. Ну, так, жити в лісу, жити в ущельничестві, подальше від всіх типів. Було так?
I'm not sure. Aspects of it are attractive to me. I like that you're in such close proximity to so many interesting species of mushrooms.
Сьогодні знаходимо помили так. Кілограмчик примерно.
If we go out hunting, could we find more tomorrow?
Подивися на ваше поведіння. Хочеш піти?
Yes, I'd like to go hunting tomorrow.
Потім туди по верхушку по лісі і так.
There's always some uncertainty with mushrooms. You never know if you'll find them. It's dependent on the rain, it's dependent on the humidity, and it's dependent on certain unknowable factors that have to do with the life cycle and nutrients of the soil.
Ну, та йдемо туди наверх, та й все. Та будемо дивитися, гуляти.
Amanita is a mycorrhizal genus. It needs to grow in association with the roots of trees. There's amanitas everywhere, you guys. Amazing. This is the reason that no one has been able to fruit, Amanita muscaria, under artificial laboratory conditions. And so it is a mushroom that is always found in close association with trees.
Росте по дорозі на одній нозі і шапочку має, і нікого не вітає.
Crazy family.
5, 6, 7, 8 amanitas. Amanitas everywhere. All the different stages of growth are visible here. Here you can see what will later become the white spots or warts on the cap are just barely starting to break away. But at the beginning, it's an envelope called the universal veil. It encloses the entirety of the fungus. So here the red, the cap is just beginning to peek through the universal veil, and it is a magnificent sight to behold.
It really looks like candy. I just want to try it. It's interesting what he can tell us.
It's an amazing haul. Beautiful. Wow.
Коротше, накрушили мухомори, наставили, заливаємо то водкою, закручуємо.
Where did you learn this technique?
Розказав дідушка.
He also ate these mushrooms?
Що ж, мухомори, до бабушки, до дідушка в гості на той світ.
So when people come to you, are they looking for treatment? Why do you think they want the mushrooms?
Знімають то все настойка. Від всіх болезней. На желудок полезно, взагалі-то від рака мухомори йде. То все исследовать надо, конечно.
You dedicated your career to developing new medicines based on the chemicals in this mushroom, but there are people that would say the mushroom itself is a medicine and that it's perfect the way it is. What do you think of that?
I think it is crazy.
Really?
Yeah. Some ibotenic acid may go into the brain. It is neurotoxic. It is a powerful neurotoxin. I would seriously warn against this kind of use. I know people who take the natural products as medicine. They can do absolutely crazy things.
Їдять, мухомори їдять більшість шаманів, які щось знають. А якщо люди не хочуть знати, то їх проблема. Ти ж теж з лягушками там пробував. І чого ж ти пробував? Метку лизнути.
How do you know that I...
Когось то манить, а хтось пугається того невідомого. Всі проблеми обществом управляє страх, так що люди всі бояться, всі в страху живуть. Вон мухомор поїж, скаже сам. По чуть-чуть, розжовуй так, їж. І все стане ясно на своєму місці.
Science has not found a good way to explain the adaptive function of all these different forms and ingredients. But then I think the fly agaric on top of everything is kind of trying to say something to us.
There's an interesting relationship between ibotenic acid and the red color, because the ibotenic acid in the mushroom is primarily located in a thin layer just below the red layer. Is that the primary role of ibotenic acid? To produce this fantastic color?
Just as ibotenic acid is partially responsible for the red color of the fly agaric's cap, the presence of psilocin is responsible for the blue bruising that characterizes much of the genus Psilocybe. Why the mushrooms produce these chemicals and colors remains unknown.
Knowledge and power is different. Some mushrooms give power, some mushrooms give knowledge. You need knowledge, you speak with small mushroom. If you need power, you speak with big mushroom, Amanita, for example. Do you believe in magic?
No.
Oh, interesting. Science man?
Yeah.
If you don't believe in magic, why you research magic mushroom?
Because I think it's even more interesting that they do what they do without any kind of supernatural impact. Some people like to explain things magically, and they think that that elevates something, and I think it's more interesting to understand how something happens without magic. And if you really respect something and care about it, it's good to try to figure out how it really works. But that's just my perspective on this.
How often you cry? Cry. Are you crying for this year?
Yeah, I cry often.
Deep emotion. Is it good for you to be alone? Can you be alone and feel good?
Yes.
I see.
Do you know about two sides of Amanita?
What are the two sides?
One side is like energy, like healthness. Two sides like speak with ghost and underworld. Maybe you test little?
Let me see one that's so dry it cracks when you bend it.
This is small and beautiful.
Yeah, that's good.
When the mushroom is dried, the ibotenic acid is decarboxylated, producing muscimol. For this reason, many Amanita enthusiasts only use dried caps, which are sometimes smoked.
A lot in order to have a psychedelic effect. But if you eat just one or two, the only thing that changes is you see them everywhere. Even like from a distance, where you think it's impossible, I could see it so far.
Remember the word magic. It is magic.
If you're tired, go to sleep.
I kind of want to go walk around in the darkness and look for mushrooms.
You want? Do you want?
Are there wolves?
Yes, of course. Are you afraid?
Just curious about what is out there.
You know, if you see one, you see the next one. You can make some kind of extrapolation where the third one will be. So then they start talking to you. They say, pick me.
It's 3 a.m. I've been walking through the woods for an hour looking for Amanita muscaria. I've seen Cortinarius, Russula, Macrolepiota species, but not a single Amanita anywhere in sight. And I don't think anyone else has seen Amanita either. Have you seen any Amanita?
I don't know. Дівча сказочка просто.
Wow. A stand of mighty muckamore. Amazing. Oh, they're everywhere. These are some of the most beautiful ones I've ever seen. They're the only red color that you can find in the woods. They are unmistakable. It produces a pleasant inebriation that's somewhat akin to zolpidem. It's a strange inebriating mushroom. It causes drunkenness, relaxation, a strange feeling of unreality, and nausea. It's a mushroom that is wonderful even if you've never consumed it. On a purely aesthetic level, it is almost unrivaled in its beauty.
After a long night's rest, I'm roused from my sleep to find my dreams surround me. The mushrooms are mine to keep. I say goodbye to Edge, Vlad, Vasil, and his cat, with time enough to catch my train until my bike went flat. I finally left Shipit after much investigation. I couldn't wait to check my mushrooms as soon as I left the station. I'm headed back to Copenhagen to consult with my friend Paul and ask him how this mushroom inspired gaboxidol.
Why did you choose gaboxidol as opposed to muscimol? Did it have any advantage that made it more favorable for clinical use?
It was much less toxic. There was an agreement between scientists that muscimol was simply too toxic, and it was also too non-selective. It interferes with GABA uptake, interferes with GABA transaminase. So for both reasons, it was a much more difficult compound to work with.
The key step in the synthesis of gaboxidol is the formation of the 3-hydroxyisoxazole ring.
But away from here to here was the absolutely critical step.
Under acidic conditions, lone pair electrons on the hydroxyimic acid attack the protonated ketone in a 5-exotrig cyclization, forming an intermediary dihydroisoxazole ring. Proton transfer, elimination of water, and hydrogen abstraction aromatize the ring, giving birth to the substituted 3-hydroxyisoxazole.
It's a beautiful cyclization.
When it finally works, you can really sit down and enjoy it.
If the hallucinogenic effect is considered unfavorable for therapeutic use, do you have any ideas about how that effect could be eliminated?
They are inherent. Take the opiates. You have the analgesic effect of the opiates, but you have the side effects. Everything has a price in medicinal chemistry. Compounds acting on the brain have to be tested in a panel of drug addicts. If a compound is recognized by any of these addicted people, it is the end of it. There was an amphetamine addicted person who got some side effects. I don't know exactly how they were, but I think it was hallucinations.
Вообще він зразу з льоту починає кришити.
He was an amphetamine addicted person.
When gaboxidol was found to be hallucinogenic, pharmaceutical development was halted, and its potential for treatment of sleep disorders has yet to be realized.
It's kind of pity, but that's where the hypnotic story is standing at the moment.
Throughout the history of medicinal chemistry, scientists have drawn inspiration from nature, but how they gain that inspiration is still a matter of mystery.
This is gaboxidol.
Outside of 3-hydroxyisoxazole containing the NO bond, why did you dedicate your life to exploring these compounds?
The mushroom told us to do it. The magic mushroom gave an order to me, and I had to follow it. And I did that.
What if we found something that is inexplicable? Something that is happening in front of our eyes, but is too different to be understood even vaguely. Maybe it's about a non-communication, something that we just see it's there, it's physical, you can get it, but you will never understand its properties.
The marriage of science and magic, a union one shouldn't abide, together at last in a fungus with warts, no longer able to hide.